Yorgan de Castro and Junior dos Santos. Eagle FC 47 full card prediction. Now that is the main event. Former UFC champion taking on former 1-3 UFC fighter Yorgan de Castro in the main event. We got Hector Lombard coming from the BKFC to fight Thiago Silva, who's coming off a very long layoff. We got Maki Pitolo, former UFC fighter, fighting I believe a 38-year-old Doug Usher, a very good veteran by the way. Gabriel Checco fighting a UFC veteran Andrew Sanchez. Ahmed Aliev coming from the PFL fighting a UFC veteran who fought Habib Nurmagomedov and Darrell Horcher. We got Islam Mamedov, a ranked Bellator lightweight prospect, taking on Zane, a former Bellator as well as Titan FC fighter. We got Ronny Marks and Reggie Peña right there, Bellator, and I'm pretty sure Reggie Peña has been in Bellator as well. Roosevelt, former UFC fighter, taking on Alexandre de Almeida. Shawn Soriano, former UFC fighter, taking on Paulo Silva. Shawn Bunch, friend of Daniel Cormier, taking on Alic. And then Dylan Mantello and Dennis Hughes. A lot of very, very good fights on this card. We're going to go through every single one of these fights. Only one fight that did get canceled was Islam Mamedov. Yos Dennis Cadeno is now Zane taking his place. Zane takes a lot of these short notice type of fights with literally any organization, but and we're going to get into the first one here in the the Eagle FC this time, lightweight division. Dylan Mantello and Dennis Hughes in the Eagle FC lightweight division. This is actually going to be a rematch, and as of right now, Dylan Mantello is at minus 225 as a little bit above a 2-1 favor. The first fight did go to Dylan Mantello, but right now, Dennis Hughes is the favorite on the Tapology predictions. He's younger at only 23 years old. He's fought in UFC fighter AJ Fletcher in his amateur MMA career. Fought Dylan Mantello right there. Christian Lawson of the PFL. And most recently lost to Yanaz Asmol, a PFL fighter. So he's losing to decent guys, especially that AJ Fletcher one that went to a decision in his amateur MMA career. But overall, he's not that good of a fighter. He's got a lot of finishes, that is definitely for sure. Second round knockout, second round submission, and literally all the wins by finish except for Ali Omar. But if he does not go out there and finish Dylan Mantello, Dylan is taller, he is a lengthier fighter here, and he's overall the better striker. Jiu-jitsu wrestling-wise is pretty even. Neither guy I really expect to dominate the other guy. They both can definitely go out there and land a finish on the ground. They can definitely go out there and knock each other out, but I'm expecting a very hard-fought decision where Dylan, being the taller, lengthier, and overall just better striker, is just going to keep the fight on the feet for most of this fight and edge out a decision. I got Dylan Mantello by a unanimous decision. Alic and Shawn Bunch in the bantamweight division. As of right now, is not looking like we have any betting odds for the fight, because the fight literally just got announced like a day or two ago. But as of right now, 86% of the vote is going for Shawn Bunch to win the fight, mainly by decision, even though he is currently 39 years old. Very small, not the biggest length for the bantamweight division, but it does not matter. Shawn Bunch is a very, very explosive wrestler, a very fast wrestler, as he showed in his Eagle FC debut, going out there beating Fertabs Kasanov by a unanimous decision. Lost to Keith Lee in Bellator, Leandro Higo by submission. Those are very legit guys over there, and he's still 39 years old, fighting the best of the best in the Bellator the Bellator bantamweight division. Also fought Darian Caldwell early in his career, Steve Garcia early in his career, but there are two outcomes to this fight. Either Shawn Bunch goes out there, takes the fight down, and just controls it on the ground, lands takedown after takedown to win a unanimous decision, or Adi Alic goes out there and uses far, far superior striking, defends the takedown, and wins the fight on the feet. So he's got legit grappling, as in jiu-jitsu wise. He's got an armbar, rear naked, and then another submission win, and then one knockout win right there. But by far, in a fight with Shawn Bunch, it doesn't matter matter if you have very, very good jiu-jitsu skills. You need that fight to stay on the feet by any means possible. Didn't fight for a while since that LFA loss to John de Jesus or John de Jesus. Then he came back and beat Carlos Espinosa, defended a lot of those takedowns, but Carlos is nowhere near as good of a wrestler as Shawn Bunch. So when I first saw the fight, I thought it was going to be very, very close, but as I'm seeing Adi Alic getting taken down by much, much worse opponents and much, much worse wrestlers than Shawn Bunch, I am leaning towards Shawn Bunch to land the takedowns here and grind out a decision, but it's very close. Adi Alic, if he can keep the fight on the feet for the most part and land some really big shots on the feet, then he gets taken down, he can slightly edge out some of those rounds, but it really comes down to how many big shots he can land on the feet before he does eventually get taken down in the fight, which I think he will be. So it's close, but I'm going to lean Shawn Bunch at the moment to win the fight by a unanimous decision. Shawn Soriano and Paulo Silva in the Eagle FC lightweight division, 32.5 and then 34, almost 35 years old, literally in probably a day. And he's going to be a little bit taller. He's going to be a little bit lengthier than Shawn Soriano, fighting out of MMA Masters with guys like Ricardo Lamas, Kobe Covington, Cista Ferreira, Ilya Taporia, Danny Chavez, Miguel Baeza. A lot of legit guys do go to that gym over there, but a lot of legit guys go to Shawn Soriano's gym as well. Eddie Alvarez, you got Jorge Santiago over there. You got a lot of very good grapplers and wrestlers. Tyrell Fortune's over there, Lorenzo Hood, Erwin Rivera, some really, really solid guys over there at that gym as well. But it's going to be interesting because Paulo Silva has not been an active fighter by any means. Lost to UFC fighter Max Roskov, lost to, I believe, a Bellator fighter, DeMarcus Jackson, then lost to a PFL fighter and Jason Suarez, while only beating a 2-8 fighter in Martin Castro and a 5-4 fighter in Paul Barreau. He has not fought in a while. I don't know what they're doing putting him on a random Eagle FC fighter. Fight against Shawn Soriano, a former UFC fighter that fought Chris Jagos, Shailin Nurdan, and then fought in the UFC a while back as well. It's a weird sort of fight in that Shawn, from the fights I've seen of both Shawn and the fights I've seen of Paulo Silva, Shawn is better everywhere. He's the better striker. He has the power to knock out Paulo Silva at any moment in this fight. Jiu-jitsu-wise, wrestling-wise, maybe Paulo has a chance to get the fight to the ground and finish it there, but overall, most likely, yeah, we're going to see Shawn Soriano go out there, keep the fight on the feet, and end up knocking him out in the first or second rounds. Alexandre de Almeida and Roosevelt Roberts in the Eagle FC lightweight division, 28 and then 33.5 years old. By far the taller, lengthier guy is, of course, going to be Roosevelt Roberts, coming off a nice knockout win over Darren Smith Jr., losing to Ignacio Bahamondes with a spinning wheel kick. I mean, absolutely insane. To Jim Miller by armbar, and then he lost to Kevin Kroon by guillotine. But it did get over to him because I believe he was smoking that good stuff. But before that, he got a win over Brock Weaver and a couple of other guys as well. Alexandre de Almeida has a very good shot of winning this fight. Got a couple submission wins in his career, submitting Saul Almeida, submitting Lee Koval right there, only losing to like UFC, PFL like level guys like Steven Seiler twice, Lance Palmer twice, Steven Rodriguez by split decision, Fabiano Silva by split decision, Fabiano Nogueira by unanimous decision, Renato Moicano, that was his debut. Renato Moicano's debut was against Alexandre de Almeida, which is still absolutely insane. You can see they both fought some very, very legit guys in their careers. But it's weird, because Roosevelt, we know he's a good striker. We know he can definitely hang with guys on the feet. But, you know, he's not necessarily the overall best grappler out there. He got submitted by Jim Miller, got submitted by Kevin Kroon, and then Ignacio, he's a better striker there. So there's a possibility Alexandre de Almeida could take the fight down and win the fight there. But again, he's moving up divisions here to fight Roosevelt Roberts. It's been 2.5 years since Alexandre de Almeida's last fight. Maybe if Alexandre was a little bit more active and I would be able to see how good his striking is as of right now, how good his cardio is, how good he really looks, because after a 2.5 year layoff, you really don't know what to think. So I don't know just yet. I'm going to lean Roosevelt Roberts to win the fight by a decision. but it's tough. It's a close fight. I got Roosevelt Roberts slightly edging out a decision. Lance Palmer wasn't able to finish him. Steven Siler was able to submit him, but Roosevelt is not going to go out there and get a submission win. So I see the fight staying on the feet. For the most part, Roosevelt Roberts just keeping range and winning the fight by a unanimous decision. Ronny Marks and Reggie Peña in the light heavyweight division. As of right now, I think there are odds that Ronny Marks is going to be at minus 280 on the betting odds. Reggie Peña at plus 220. So a pretty big favorite for Ronny Marks right there. Now, should he be that big of a favorite? Not too sure. Slight height, slight reach advantage going Ronny Marks. Age advantage going Ronny Marks. Speed advantage, power advantage going Ronny Marks. Wrestling advantage going Ronny Marks. But there's always a shot for Reggie Peña to get a finish. If you look at his career so far, he's got very legit power in his hands and really good jiu-jitsu. Submitted guys like John Salter, a Bellator title challenger, Clayton McKinney, Saba Homasi, Bellator fighter as well, Eric Wallen, he went out there and knocked him out. Got a lot of very, very solid wins, and he's losing to a lot of very, very solid guys as well. He's been fighting MMA for a while, but he had a very, very long break of fighting MMA, and then his last one was in 2022, about 2 minutes and 15 seconds. That's all we really can get out of him in the last 3 years. The 2-minute 15-second fight. He looked good in the fight. Don't get me wrong, he looked very, very good. But with a guy like Ronny Marks, who is younger, who is faster, who is taller, lengthier, more powerful, and who only really loses to the elite guys in the light heavyweight division and heavyweight division of Bellator, that does make me believe that it's probably going to be a Ronny Marks win here. Ronny is just better everywhere except for jiu-jitsu. That is the only place where I think there's a possibility where maybe Reggie Peña could win. I don't think that Ronny Marks is a bad jiu-jitsu guy by any means, but if there's a place that Reggie Peña can win this fight, it's going to be on the ground. Ronny Marks can go out there, win the fight on the feet, out volume, land in the harder shots, and get a decision, knock out Reggie Peña, or he can take the fight down and grind with the wrestling. All he really needs to do is stay away from that finish of Reggie Peña, which is a hard thing to do. He's finished some very legit guys, but if he just be smart about the fight, does not take any really big risks, he can easily win this fight. So I'm going to go Ronny Marks to win this fight. I do think there's a good shot it goes to a decision, to be quite honest with you. It's so tough. I'm going to go decision. I'm going to go decision for this one. I know Ronny Marks has gotten so many finishes, and I know like 70-80% of the vote are going Ronny Marks by finish. I'm going to be the 20% that are going to go Ronny Marks by decision. A lot of times when you get these older guys to come back after long layoffs and try to prove themselves against the younger guy, and it's not really that lopsided of a fight, they tend to either win the fight outright or they at least survive. And that's their point. They're just like, I'm trying to survive against this young up-and-comer, and that'll be a really, really good thing for me in the future. I can look back at this fight and be like, I survived Ronny Marks in that one. So I have a feeling the fight goes all the way. I'm going to go Ronny Marks to win that one by a decision. Islam Mamedov and Zane in the lightweight division. Now, Islam, as you guys know, is a Bellator fighter. He beat Brent Primus by a split decision, and then he lost to Benson Henderson by a split decision. I personally do think he did enough to win that fight. That was a clear robbery in my opinion, but he's got plenty of submission TKO wins before that, so I don't think this is a hard prediction by any means. 96% going Islam Mamedov to win the fight. Betting us, Islam is at minus 1,500 at the moment, which is not insane at all. I mean, that's exactly where it should be. He is taller, he's lengthier, he's the better wrestler, he's from Khabib Nurmagomedov's camp. I know Khabib wants him to win this fight. They're setting him up for a win here against a guy on a 3-fight losing streak, one of which inside of Eagle FC, one inside the LFA, and one in Titan FC, all by finish. This is going to be a finish. Islam takes him down, and he submits him in the very first rounds. Ahmed Aliev and Darrell Horcher in the lightweight division. Now, Darrell is no like bad fighter by any means. He's getting a little bit older there in his age, and he's not really the most active guy. He did lose twice to Scott Holtzman and Roosevelt Roberts. Then he left the UFC, beat Vadim Ogar by knockout. Then he lost to Oliver Aubin Mercier by a unanimous decision. Very legit guy right there. Oliver is a really good wrestler, very, very good ground and pound, and he was able to win that one. But Ahmed Aliev is a very up and down guy. Lost to Chris Way by unanimous decision. Beat Rashid Mamedov by unanimous decision. Lost to Nathan Schultz by submission. Beat Mikkel Odenstam by unanimous decision. Then he lost to Louis Garadzabov by knockout. He's just up and down, win-loss, 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 over and over and over again. But guys, look at where his camp is. Eagles MMA Academy. He fights with Movlik Khaibulaev, Sergey Pavlovich over there, and plenty of other legit guys. Those are just the main guys at that gym. It's very, very clear that Khabib Nurmagomedov set this fight up for Ahmed Aliev. I know Darrell Horcher is a dog. He goes out there, he tries to win every single fight. I mean, he only lost to Khabib in the UFC. That's the only guy, except for Roosevelt Roberts, to finish him. And then Felipe Nover as well as Oliver Aubin Mercier. He's a dog. He can definitely go out there and fight, but Ahmed Aliev, man, he's a very legit wrestler. He's got really good ground and pound and things like that. And he's not that bad on the feet either. If the fight stays on the feet for 3 straight rounds, it doesn't really matter there either. He's still the better fighter on the feet. So this should be a very, very good fight either way. I do think it goes to a decision. I think Darrell Horcher is tough enough of a fighter to survive to the final bell. So I think Ahmed is literally better everywhere. Striking, he's faster. He's got more weapons in the toolkit. The spinning kicks. He's got a really, really good power and not really the best power in a sense, but he's got some power to pop you. Throws more volume. Got the better wrestling. Got the better jiu-jitsu. I can't really think of anywhere that Darrell Horcher is better. He just needs to go out there, just throw everything on the line, looking for a finish. That is the only way I see Darrell Horcher winning. It's just not going to happen. Ahmed Aliev by a unanimous decision. Gabriel Checco and Andrew Sanchez in the light heavyweight division. Now, he's a humongous favorite. If you don't know who is the favorite for this fight, you got to think about it a little more. Gabriel Checco right now is at plus 500, and Andrew Sanchez is at minus 800. And I'm going to be quite honest with you, that actually makes sense. That actually does make sense in my opinion. Because if you look at Andrew Sanchez's career for right now, he's lost to Mamedov, one of the very, very good prospect in the UFC, Bruno Silva, another very, very good prospect in the UFC. Both guys only have one loss. Mamedov only lost once to Gerald Meerschaert. Bruno Silva only lost once to Alex Pereira, about to fight Sean Strickland in the UFC. These are the guys that are beating Andrew Sanchez. The other guy, Marvin Vettori. The people he is fighting and the UFC is setting him up against are absolute beasts. He beat Wellington Turman by knockout. He beat Marc-Andre Barrios by unanimous decision. I mean, he was dominating Bruno Silva in their fight. He's a very legit fighter, and they cut him from the UFC because he wasn't really doing too good. But again, the other two guys, aside from Marvin Vettori, Makhmud Muradov, Bruno Silva, were Anthony Smith, who was about to fight against Magomed Ankalaev, and then Ryan James. That's the only bad loss on his record, is him. That's literally it. But we don't know how good he would have become if he kept on fighting in the UFC. That is the only guy that I can really knock him for. Everyone else is a very legit guy. Makhmud, Bruno, Marvin Vettori, Anthony Smith, very, very legit guys. Even early in his career, lost to Dustin Jacoby, a top 15 light heavyweight by split decision. Beat Myron Dennis, Phil Halls, Eric Spicely, Khalil Roundtree. He's a very legit guy. He's got very good wrestling, and he's got good striking as well. On the feet, he outstrikes Gabriel Checco pretty easily, in my opinion, just using the reach, staying at range, and winning there. On the ground, he's got the better wrestling, can just do exactly what Rashad Evans did in his fight, and take down Gabriel Checco and grind him there. It's a pretty obvious prediction. Andrew Sanchez to win this fight. We'll go with decision. I think he'll win a decision here. Marc-Andre Barrios, he won that one by a decision, so I say he just out-wrestles Gabriel Checco, outstrikes him, stays away from the submission game of Gabriel Checco, and wins the fight by a unanimous decision. Maki Pitolo and Doug Usher in the middleweight division. Doug Usher is 39 years old, 3 inches taller, and is going to have a 3-inch reach advantage, but he's, again, 39 years old. he's still doing good. I mean, as a 39-year-old, I would be hoping I'm doing this good as an MMA fighter. On a 5-6 fight win streak, I think it might be even more than that. If we look at it, yes, even more than that. Only losing to UFC fighter Jamie Pickett along the way. Knockout win, 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 and then a submission win right there. Out of all of the wins, I would say his best ones are probably when he wins the fight early on, and that's kind of what he's going to have to do here against Maki Pitolo is honestly just touch Maki Pitolo on the feet, knock him out, or submit him very early on in the fight. Doug Usher, at this age in his career, is not going to really have the best cardio to go the second round and to the third round. And fighting a guy like Maki Pitolo, who's going to leave it all out there, going for that finish, Doug Usher is also going to be going out there, going for that finish. It's just who is going to land on the chin of the other fighter first. This is I don't think there's any way this one goes to a decision. I mean, there's like 32%, 18% saying the fight goes all the way. I do not think the fight goes all the way by any means. Doug Usher is a very good shot at going out there and knocking out Maki Pitolo. If Maki gets a little bit too reckless, pressuring forward, looking to land his big shots, and Doug can catch him coming in, that's a very good possibility, but I think Maki Pitolo is smart enough to pick his shots very precisely, coming to the inside of Doug Usher, in and out, in and out, in and out, and eventually time a big shot coming in on a Doug Usher. I think he will knock him out. I think after that 4-fight losing streak in the UFC, I think he's looking to bounce back with a good win here. If you guys don't remember, he was beating Julian Marquez for 3 straight rounds. He's still a very legit UFC caliber fighter, but he kept on losing those fights. So I think he beats Doug Usher fairly early on in this fight, first or second round, and I think it's going to be with punches. There's a possibility Doug Usher could get hit with those punches, maybe turn on that Charles Oliveira, come back up and knock out Maki Pitolo, because he is a very, very tough guy. He can definitely eat a few shots and things like that, but I think Maki is looking for that good finish to start his Eagle FC career, and I think he gets the finish here. Maki Pitolo by knockout. Hector Lombard and Thiago Silva in the light heavyweight division. Betting odds at the moment, minus 120 Thiago Silva, and then minus 110 Hector Lombard. It's a 50-50 fight for a reason. 63% going Silva, 37% going Lombard. Thiago has lost by decision to Martin Zawada, but that was 3 years ago. Hector Lombard lost to Thales Leites 3.5 years ago. These guys have not fought in a long time. Hector Lombard has not fought MMA in a while, but he has fought in BKFC, beating David Mondale in a main event, Kendall Grove, and then Joe Riggs right there. Then in a main event with Lorenzo Hunt, yes, he did lose that fight, but Lorenzo Hunt has been doing pretty good over there inside of bare knuckle boxing. Not inside of MMA per se, but inside of BKFC, he's been doing very good. Now, as of right now, Hector Lombard is 44 years old, and as of right now, Thiago Silva is 39 years old. So you're not really putting up against the younger guys, fighting the younger guys. There's two very old veteran UFC fighters coming at it after a long layoff from MMA. It's tough because you don't really know how Thiago Silva is going to come out there, but you do know how Hector Lombard is going to come out there. And I have a feeling Hector's going to come out there very strong early on in this fight. Put on the pressure on Thiago Silva, come forward, throw in volume, throwing some really big shots, looking to get that finish early on in this fight, because that would be how he wins. It's going to be early on, landing some really big punches, getting Thiago Silva's back to the cage, and then knocking him out. I think he wins the first round for sure. And then after that, I'm going to go the second round and the third round to Thiago Silva. I think later on in the fight goes, the advantage starts to swing sort of towards Thiago Silva, as he is going to be the younger fighter. He's taller, he's lengthier. Once they are both a little bit more tired, it's going to be much more easy for Thiago Silva to land the jab, land the 1-2, the kicks at range, and things like that, because he is a much taller, much lengthier guy, not to mention he's the younger guy as well. So, first round, I'm going to go Hector Lombard. I think he's going to look very good, but later on in that fight, second round, third round, Thiago's going to make that sort of comeback and win those rounds and win the fight by a 29-28 decision. Yorgan de Castro and Junior dos Santos in the heavyweight division. Junior dos Santos on a 4-fight losing streak, losing to Francis Ngannou by knockout. The UFC champion, I'm talking. Curtis Blades by knockout, a top 5 UFC heavyweight in the world. Jairzinho Rosenstruck, a top 10 UFC heavyweight in the world. And then Ciryl Gane, the number 1, number 2 heavyweight in the world. That is a murderous row of heavyweights right there. Ngannou, Ciryl Gane, Curtis Blades, and Jairzinho Rosenstruck. Nobody is blaming Junior Dos Santos for losing to those guys, especially because before those losses, look who he's beating. Derek Lewis, Tai Tuivasa, and Blagoy Ivanov. That is a legit little win streak he had there, because Tai Tuivasa is now in the top 5. Derek Lewis is a top 10 heavyweight fighter. Blagoy Ivanov, top 15 heavyweight fighter. And he knocked out both Tai and Derek Lewis right there. So he's been doing really, really good over there in that 2018-2019 section. But after that, he fought the murderous row. I mean, come on, man. Come on, those are some tough fights for a guy like him at his age, 38 years old, to fight these killers. That is insane for him to even have accepted those crazy fights. But now, I mean, from going from Ngannou, Curtis Blades, Jairzinho, and guys like Ciryl Gane as well, from going from those guys to a Yorgan de Castro, this is a blessing, man. I mean, it's a main event. It's a guy that lost to Greg Hardy by unanimous decision, Carlos Felipe by unanimous decision, and got knocked out by Jaris Danho. Come on, guys. He beat Daniel Williams, and he beat Shawn Usher by a submission right there. Two absolutely not the best fighters right there. I'm going to be honest with you. Junior is going to win the fight. He's a much faster opponent. He's got really crisp boxing. He's very powerful as well. He's going to go out there, just outbox Yorgan de Castro for a few minutes, use that height, use that reach, have Yorgan come to him, and then eventually, as Yorgan's coming in, he's going to land that big shot. The only thing Yorgan really has in this fight is going to be the leg kicks. It's going to be the body kicks and things like that. That is about it. Leg kicks, body kicks, that's it. Junior Dos Santos, that's all he really has to worry about. Other than that, he's going to knock out Yorgan de Castro in the first or second round. It is, I believe, only a 3-round fight, but it doesn't matter if it's a 3-rounder or a 5-round fight. Dos Santos is going to knock him out either way. If Jaris Danho can knock out Yorgan de Castro, Junior Dos Santos should easily do the exact same thing. Junior Dos Santos in the first or second round by a knockout. That is my full card prediction for Eagle FC 47, Dos Santos versus De Castro. Make sure to put your predictions down below. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Let's go.